Hey guys, welcome to the video. This is part 7 in our series on how to budget, but if this is the first video you are watching in the series, go back and check out the others because you definitely don't want to miss any of the steps for creating your budget, paying off debt, and setting up your savings accounts. I will put links to all of the other videos and the full playlist in the description down below and in the cards if you want to check that out. In this video, I am going to be showing you guys how to set up your initial budget using a Google Sheet. Now, you may be thinking, wait a second, we have been doing everything with pen and paper until now, but I do recommend doing both. I think it's good when you're figuring out your budget, especially if you haven't done this much before, to put pen to paper and write everything out as you are doing it. But I also think it is important to have a digital copy of your budget somewhere. You can use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google worksheet, but it will save you a lot of time if you get a spreadsheet set up from the get-go with your budget. Because if you put in the proper formulas, anytime you have a change in your income or expenses, all you have to do is go in and make one little change and it will do all of the math for you. And I will also be showing you how mine is set up. I will be doing a screen recording so you can see what I'm doing right as I do it. And if you would like your Google Sheet to look like mine and have all of the formulas in there all ready for you, I will put a link to it in the description down below. But if you are just not a digital person at all and you want to do everything just pen and paper, that's okay. If you have the workbook that we have been using all along, I do have an initial budget worksheet that you can use, and this will work just as well. It's basically identical to what is on the Google Sheet. So you can just fill that in as we go along. Or if you are using a notebook, you can make one of your pieces of paper look something like this, or you can print one off that you find online if you like something else better. And you can still go right alongside with what we are going to do in this video. But I am mainly going to be focusing on the more technical side of budgeting today and showing you guys how to set up your budget digitally. So to get started, I'm just going to show you basically the whole Google Sheet up till where we are right now and show you just how to use it in case you are interested in that. And if you would like more information about the different tabs and the different areas that I am showing you and want more details, go back and check out the other videos in this series because I explain in much more detail every step of the way. So before we do anything here, if you choose to purchase the Money Mastery spreadsheet, you will need to go up to File right here and go File, Make a Copy. And you can name the copy whatever you want. Maybe it's Budget 2024. You can choose if you want to save it in a folder. I can choose, since I am the owner of this spreadsheet, to share it with the same people, which I don't want to do because I want everyone to get a blank copy, not one that I'm putting numbers into. And I can also choose to copy comments, which I'm not going to do. So I'm just going to say make a copy. And then I have Budget 2024. So for the net income calculator, I would just put in my gross monthly net income. If I want this to calculate out all for me, I have all of the formulas in here already. And let's say that I make $2,000 a month and my taxes, let's say, are, I don't know, what is a good median thing to do for taxes? I happen to live in a state with very high taxes, but then there are also states that have no taxes. So let's just choose a middle ground and say 5%. So what we'll want to do is go equal sign 0.05, that is 5%. And then you want to make, on a Mac, it's Shift 8, this little star. I can't remember if it's the same on the PC or not. But then you can just click on whatever cell you are wanting to have the 5% of. So then you return, and now I have the take-home pay for the month. If I have another monthly income, let's say the next person makes $1,500 a month, but again, they have 5% income tax, so we're going to say equals 0.05, little star, and the 1,500. And the reason you want to click on that cell is, let's say I get a raise next month. And now I make $1,600. Look, it changed all of the numbers for me. I didn't have to do a thing. So that's why you want to use the cell instead of writing in the numbers. See how that automatically updates. And also in this sheet, I have a formula set so that it is totaling up all of the monthly net incomes here. So you can see that at a glance. Now, let's say you decided to increase your income after hearing all of Gabe's ideas in the other video, and you now have a side gig that is paying you $500 a month, but we are still getting that income tax. And so now you will have the take-home pay and see how it adds it there. And you can just continue doing this for however many incomes that you have. Then we are going to look at the expense tracker. Now, if you remember correctly, the expense tracker is for if you don't really know what all of your expenses are. Each time one of them hits, you are going to either get out the worksheet or you are going to open up this tab and you are going to write it in. So let's say that your mortgage is the first thing that comes in. Category would be, now I have my own categories here. You can use whatever you want, obviously. But if you want to use the same ones I use, you can just go over to the monthly expense calculator tab and you can see these are the categories. So that just makes it easy. So whenever you are putting them into your calculator, you can see which section they go in. And we like to separate our budget out this way. It just easily at a glance helps us see, oh, we're spending a lot on vehicles, for example. Maybe we need to make some adjustments. And you can easily see where you are spending a lot of money or where you may need to make some cuts, where you can afford to spend a little bit more. So I would put mortgage under the home category. And the cost, let's say it's $2,000 for that expense. And then this also is going to be totaling up all of these expenses as you go. Now you may need a few more. If you do, just highlight and that's Control-click on a Mac and you can insert 4 more rows. And that should still, so you can just insert. So again, you just highlight, Control-click. I don't know what it, I think it's just right-click on a PC actually. And insert 4 rows. And then you have more rows again. So you can make this however much you want. And I'll put one down here so we can make sure that they're working properly with this. Let's say your next expense that comes in is cell phone. That would be a communication expense. And again, I find that if I come over here, communication, cell phone, okay? So communication, let's say you're paying $150 a month, and that adds it up right there. I'll do one at the bottom too to just make sure that everything is totaling up. Let's say that our next expense to come in is, let's say garbage is our next expense to come in. That would be a home expense. And let's say that's $75 a month. That may be, I don't know. I honestly don't know how much that is a month or if that's a reasonable ballpark or not. You can obviously put in the real numbers. You don't have to make it up as you're going along like I am, but you would just put in from top to bottom all of the expenses that you have. And then once you are done tracking your expenses, you can go over to the expense calculator and pop everything in here. Now, like I said in the expenses video, I do recommend tracking your expenses for at least 2 months if you aren't sure, because you really want to make sure. Some expenses are bi-monthly billed. When we first got this house, we didn't realize that garbage and I also think water, or I think it was water, yeah, were billed bi-monthly. So some months we would say, oh wow, look at this extra money that we have. And then other months, hey, where did all our money go? So it's just good to catch all of those things. And if you do it over 2 months, that shouldn't be a problem. So then I also have a spending tracker. Now, to me, the difference is a spending tracker is for things like whenever I am at a store and I am swiping my credit card or debit card, that is something that would go in the spending tracker. So you would again have a description here. Maybe it is groceries. And if you're doing it over 2 months, I would also put in the date. So let's just say it is 3/10/2024. So I know which month that is going for. And then later, if I go to the grocery store again, and maybe it's 3/24/2024, I can say, oh, okay, both of those were in March. So I need to count those as 1 month of groceries. Money spent, maybe it's $150, $175. And maybe here I bought something off of Amazon. So like I said, the spending would be any time that I am making a purchase, and the expenses are things that are recurring payments. And this will just help you figure out what your spending is every month. So maybe I got something off of Amazon and maybe I spent $50. And again, this will be keeping track of everything down here so you can get a total for your spending. Then once you have an idea for all of your spending and your expenses, you can put all of that into your calculator. So let's go back and look. We had $2,000 for our mortgage. We had $150 for our cell phone. And we had $75 for garbage. Was it garbage? Let's see if it was garbage. Garbage, yep, okay. Obviously you would have more expenses than this, but this is just for an example. Okay, and then we had for the month for groceries, $175 plus $150 is $325. So we would go over to groceries and we would say $325. Now, I do put out to eat and coffee drinks separate because when you are getting into your fixed and flexible expenses, some things like going out to eat or stopping by the coffee shop are much more flexible expenses than getting groceries for your family. So I do separate those out. We separate them out in our personal budget because if we need to cut back, that's an easy way of looking and saying, oh, I can easily not eat out this month if I need to, or not eat out for a couple of months if I need to. Same with coffee, drinks, all of that stuff is very flexible. So the more detail that you put in here, the more it will help you when you are paying off your debt and saving your money. Then you will look at your fixed versus flexible expenses. And we talked about this in that video, dealing with decreasing your flexible expenses. And basically you would just take some of your expenses, like say mortgage, that's pretty obviously a fixed expense, right? Most people aren't moving anytime soon. If you are moving though, that could be flexible, but we'll just put that as fixed for now. And then the garbage is also fixed. And then we will, cell phone. Now cell phone, I would actually put in flexible, because you can change plans, you can usually negotiate with them and say, hey, I am in need of this, but not this. What can you do for me? What kind of plan can you give me? So that definitely could be a flexible expense. Also, Amazon purchases could be flexible expenses. Let's say shopping, 50. And then groceries. Now, groceries could go either way. If you feel like you are already shopping at the least expensive store, it's probably a fixed expense, right? But if you think, well, I could probably shop at a different store and it would save me some money, then put it under flexible expenses and see what you can do with that. So we'll just put $325. So you get the idea. Again, go back and watch that video if you would like more ideas for flexible expenses and what you may be able to do to decrease some of those. Then you're going to decrease your flexible expenses. So the first flexible expense we have is our cell phone. Current cost, I think, was $150. And let's say you call around, you find a new provider, and you are now paying $125. That is a monthly savings. Is equal, yeah. And then I'm just going to drag this down so that it all is the same. Okay. So it's going to show zeros for a lot of this because we haven't put anything in yet, but that's okay. Another flexible expense was shopping. And let's say you decide I am only going to spend $25 shopping every month on Amazon. So then you would see your savings is $50. And you can just continue to do this. If you have entertainment, then that's always a flexible expense, right? If you're spending $100 on entertainment a month, let's say you decide to only spend $25. Okay, now we have $125 here that we are saving every month, which is going to come in very handy. Now we're going to look at the charity worksheet. Again, we talked about this in the charity video. If you don't want to donate right away, that's okay. If you want to wait until your debt is paid off, if you don't have any sort of religious conviction saying that you need to donate right now, then don't worry about it. This is something that we chose to do the entire time, but that was based off of our religious convictions, so that's why we did it. But you definitely don't have to do that if it is not something that you feel strongly about. So if you decide to do it, and whenever you decide to do it, you can take your total income. So we'll look back at our net income. We have $3,800 of net income. And then you choose a percentage to donate. We do 10%, and you can do whatever amount you want, equals 0.01, then times that little star, and then equals there. You return to make the formula work. Oh, sorry, I didn't do that right. Percentage to donate, I said 0.01%. I'm gonna make that a percentage. Let's see, where is that? Permanent percent. Okay. So I'm gonna do 10%. And then we will equal and that gives us our total. Now, if I change this, I decide that I want to donate 50. Well, that's 115%. That's not right. Can't do that. That's not gonna work. 15%. Then it automatically does the math for you. If you decide you want to donate 5%, does the math for you. So you can play with it. If you just want to donate 1%, $38 a month. Now, the increase income worksheet here, if you decide to increase your income, which I highly recommend if you are paying off any sort of debt, you would just write down whatever job it is. Let's say you got a job at a restaurant. And what was our first? $500. Make it now $500 a month, and your total is $500. If you had any others, just list them here and it would give you your total. Now, this is the total debt calculator that we talked about in the last video. You would write in your description, and maybe it is a credit card. I think we had American Express as the first one, and then we had credit card, but we did MasterCard. And then we had a car payment. And then we had some student loans. Then this is where you would put the amount left on the principal. I think we said this was 500. I don't remember. I'm just putting in numbers here, so you can tell me in the comments, that's not what you said. Sorry, I'm just making this up. See, 2,000. I think I said 5,000 in the last one. We'll try to keep it consistent. And let's say we have 10,000 left on our loan. And then write in here whatever your monthly payment is. Let's say $50. $75, $500, and $1,000. Okay, extra payment on principal. So this is where you are going to decrease your flexible expenses. How much are we saving? $125. And we are going to look at the increased income. So we have $625, sorry. It's late. It's late here where I'm doing this, so I'm tired. So $625. Oops. Okay. So extra payment on principal is going to be $625. And then you can look at how much for the amount of principal it's going to be equals this divided by this equals, and this is not going to be a dollar, so we're just going to go no dollar. Okay, so it's telling me that in 0.8 months, so 1 month, it'll be paid off. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's going to get mad at me when I do this because there's nothing here, but we'll write it in. Okay, so then we're gonna put extra payment. Once we are ready on this one, it's going to take the $625 plus the monthly payment, $675. Okay, it's gonna take only 1 month to pay that off. Great. Then we are going to take $675 plus 75, which would be $750. Oops. $750. It's going to take 6 months. And I'm going to make it so that the decimals, I really only need don't need that many decimals. Okay, it's going to take a little more than 1 month. It's going to take a little more than 6 months. So, and then once this one is paid off, we will have $750 plus 500, and that will be $1,250, I think, if my math is correct, and that'll take 8 months to pay off. Yes, I know. Calm down. Okay. So I'm just taking off the formula here so that it's not mad at me, but you can see how long that you will be paying off your debt, which is really, really cool. So then you're going to take your initial budget worksheet. You're going to go back to our net income. We've got, I'm going to put in these numbers here, not the total, just so that it can do the math over there too, and I can easily see. So we're going to do 1,900. Glasses on my eyes are feeling tired. Okay, then we're going to put 1,900. So 1,900, and make sure you're putting the net number in here. And then it was 1,425 and 475. 25 and 475. Ooh, 75. Okay, and I don't have a net income for right now. And then charity, again, if you want to. And I do have, let's just say the $38. So I'm just gonna put the 1% in right now. We can do 1%, right? So I also wanted to show you, now you don't need to pay a ton of attention to this. This is just to kind of get the idea in your head of how much of your income should be going to each of these areas. So you want 10% approximately, again, you can do however much you want, going to charity. You want to do 20% right now going toward debt payments, in addition to the extra that you are able to get. So the increased income and also the decreased expenses. And then you want to aim for your expenses to be no more than 70% of your income. Now, I understand right now you've got debt to pay off, your expenses may be higher than you want, so don't feel like you have to stick to these if it's not really possible for you to. But I just wanted to put them here so you can start thinking about, this is where I want to be aiming for. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the minimum monthly payment of our debt. We have 50, 75, 500, and 1,000. So 50, 75, 500, 1,000. Okay, and then the extra payment that we have. And I can already tell the numbers that I chose are not very realistic. At least I hope they aren't, because we're going to have as much or more debt than expenses. But we are doing our best here. I'm just making up numbers. I'm sorry if it's not 100% realistic. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so we're dealing with the initial budget right now. And I think it's important to do an initial budget and also a final budget later, because that initial budget is going to be what we're working off of for getting that debt under control. And once we have the debt under control, once we have our savings accounts built up, then we will build a final budget, and that will just be maintenance. So this initial budget is just for referencing everything that you need to be doing while you are paying off that debt. So it was $625. So you're going to be spending $2,250 for paying off that debt based on the numbers that we did, which I know these numbers are not realistic. I'm making things up. I'm sorry. It's not perfect, because I know our mortgage was $2,000. So right now we're already at negative. So that's not good. And we haven't even put in groceries yet. So let's see. Groceries were $325 a month. Cell phone, I think we decreased that, so make sure you're putting your decreased amount in there. $125. And what else did we have? Utilities. Oh, you would total up your utilities. So I had 75 of utilities. I know there would be more than that. So obviously this is not realistic. I know it's $1,013 in the hole every month, which hopefully is not the case for anybody. But this is how it works. This is how you would put things in. Honestly, if this were my budget and I was $1,013 in the hole, I would say that this is not going to be happening right now. I can't put any extra because I have to pay my bills for the month, right? And then, okay, now I'm down to $388 extra. So then I would go back and look, can I decrease any other of my expenses? Okay, I don't have to spend $25 a month on entertainment right now. I can't afford to. So we're down to $0 right there. Now we've got an extra $25 a month. And let's see, what else? Shopping. Maybe I can't afford to shop right now. If I have negative dollars left at the end of the month, I need to take that down to $0. So obviously you would have a lot more things on this flexible expenses sheet, but you can go back here, you can look through what else can I cut down on my costs. And then if that doesn't work, see if you can increase your income another way. Maybe you really need to make some extra money right now. So maybe you are working overnight at a fitness club. I can't spell, sorry about that. And that's one of the ideas that Gabe had. If you need to increase some income, yeah, it's not always fun, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If you have negative $300 coming in every month, you got to be doing this. So let's say you're making an extra $750 a month. And now we are looking at $1,250 in our increased income. So you have a lot more that you can work with here, and you can take $750. Okay, so now we're $362 in the positive, which is really good because we haven't paid for gas or internet or anything else shopping this month. So life insurance, all of those important things. So the important thing here is if you need to increase your income or decrease your expenses to make things work, and then any amount that you have left over. So right now we have $362. That should be going as an extra principal payment and coming out as zero. Obviously, you want to be not living this close to the line. Actually, it's probably good to maybe just do 300. It doesn't have to be every, sorry, not 300. It doesn't have to be every single cent, but you want to have a very small amount left over, because what's going to happen is you're going to think, oh, we have $62 left over. Let's go out to eat. And really, you want to be paying down those debts so that you can have so much more freedom, and you aren't living that close to the line every single month, and you aren't having to have all these extra jobs, and you aren't having to decrease your expenses so much. So I know my numbers didn't all work out perfectly. I was making things up. I'm sorry about that. But I hope this helped you just kind of see how to set up a Google Sheet for your budget, or a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. That's what we use for our budget. And I hope this helped with all of that, with getting this initial budget figured out. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I would be happy to explain things more or help out in any way possible. I know how impactful it can be to get your debt paid off and to get your budget set up so that you aren't having to live month to month and paycheck to paycheck. So definitely let me know in the comments down below if there are any questions that you have that I can answer. Be sure to subscribe down below if you want to catch that next video, where we are going to talk about what to do once the debt is paid off. As always, I'm Kassy with makingtimeforgiggles.com, and I make videos all about how to get 7 extra hours in your week. Please like this video if it was helpful to you, and I will see you on the next one.